South American Nationals / I believe it was actually like their biggest event down there have come and gone, and this just leaves what, Euros and the North American Championship for the biggest events of the year. And what, Euros still doesn't have a date yet, I believe, according to the European side of things. Let's go talk about how the format is stabilizing here, shall we? Don't make 30% of you guys have not smashed the living crap out of that subscribe button. Smash it so we can climb up the 100K ladder here. Branded Eldritch ended up taking down SA this weekend, being the winning force. Don't have a list, don't have any other information. The only thing I can tell you is that's actually kind of interesting. To be perfectly honest with you guys here, Branded Eldritch has pretty much done the little, oh, I'm the rogue deck in the room, oh, big scary, because, you know, you get the consistency of the Eldritch stuff. The branded package kind of puts a nice little boss monster in that deck, and then you decide if you want to play the Brave package or not. Do I want to play the Brave package and 4 or more trap cards? Or do I want more trap cards in my deck? I mean, that's a decision tree you got to make here, but for somebody that's played that deck, I'll tell you, trap cards are pretty good. You also got to decide, is Anti-Spell Fragrance or Skill Drain going to be more useful in the overall long run for the build? And it really depends on your metagame. If you have more Despia players, Anti-Spell Fragrance might be a little bit better. If you have more just meta players pushing, you know, the floor to the metal, you're probably going to look at Skill Drain in terms of your option trees for that. So just, if you guys watched my profile on that earlier in the week on the I'm Crazy video, a lot of you guys probably saw a lot of like the little motions of the ocean that we were talking about here for that deck. So am I surprised that it did good? No. Not at all. I mean, of course, with its variants and its matchups and its overall grind, no, like, absolutely, that deck is very, very scary, and a lot of players give Eldritch a lot of crap right now, honestly. I understand, like, oh my god, back row decks they're so obsolete, like, the amount of hopium that Yu-Gi-Oh! Players are coping to not deal with a back row deck, it really is quite interesting overall, so there's that. Now, we also talked about earlier yesterday about the new threat in the room. Oh my god, the big Flaunderies deck. Now, I want to revisit this because, once again, after watching more and more of these deck profiles, you constantly are still hearing the same thing about Flaunder players, how they ruining these top players' days, and I talked a lot more about it in depth yesterday, but going into the North American Championship here, for those of you that are really caring about like the highest tier caliber event for the year here, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, you're gonna have to be worried about Flunder, alright? That deck has a lot going for it right now. A lot more than players are really admitting that they want to see right now. So, buckle up, buckaroo, because to be perfectly honest with you, I think that deck is going to mess with a lot of people in a lot of ways that they're not going to be very happy to deal with, alright? Especially since the metagame has been breaking away from the best decks. I mean, like, Sword Soul has pretty much gotten checked now that Nibiru's come back into the format. I don't know if you guys, like, noticed that, but, like, Despia started falling off. You know, D-Barrier is everywhere. Anti-Spell Fragrance is in a lot of side decks right now. I mean, you're seeing 6 of the most powerful cards in the game that just bully Despia out of the format. And that doesn't mean that Despia is still not a top tier deck, because it doesn't take that option away from them. It just basically means that the matchup the players are playing for them, they're siding better for them, alright? Your well-rounded matchups are becoming easier to handle. That's a good thing, alright? When the format can start checking these sorts of things, it's good. Now, Sword Soul is in the same, you know, craptastic bucket right now. Alright? Now that Nibiru is in every... maybe not in every deck, because Eldritch exists, but there's a lot more Nibiru in this format right now than there was previously. We did see that shift where, oh no, Despia's running around. Oh no, 3 to 4 summons from the Despia player. Gosh darn it, I can't space rock them. Nibiru worthless now. Alright, well, you see that shift here for this, and then you kind of take your step back and you're like, oh, you know... So this isn't the approach that we want to go down right now. Honestly, Space Rock, and to a lesser extent, Token Collector. I mean, there's still a lot of decks out here that are playing triple token. I mean, most of your side decks, or if not your main decks, are some sort of Token Collector, some sort of Dimensional Barrier. All right, like both of these decks were the forerunners for a majority of the format here. It just got bopped down so frickin' hard. It's actually kind of insane to me. Like, checkaroony, as we're gonna say. So yeah, if you're a Despia player or a Sword Soul player, yeah, your anti-fun cards have gone up through the roof, and now Flunder's locking onto you with that penguin sense that they got going, and they just squawk at you as Impen just slaps you upside the face, and you're like, oh, what do I do? Like, you don't do anything, all right? The Impen bitch slap is rough. So, what else is still going on? Because those two decks are doing some really weird things. Now, of course, we still have Based running around. And if you're living under some sort of rock, and I don't know why you'd be living under it, it's basically Punk, Synchro, good stuff shenanigans. We saw the deck last format. It capitalizes on using the Brave package. I've talked about this deck 300 times over at this point, that players are just like, oh yeah, it's really good. Me scratching my head going, yeah, it's pretty good, but is it the best deck? Here's an interesting food for thought from what I'm starting to see from a lot of your more competitive player base as of late. A lot of the more competitive player bases once again returned back to Dragon Link. And I actually find that this is kind of interesting because Dragon Link has started to look like that players are figuring it out at this point in time. We've seen two very big Dragon Link decks that have kind of taken on, well, I mean, I guess we could say three variants of this deck that have been pretty much solidified at this point. There's the pure Dragon Link, which is the old good stuff, you know, you're still doing what the old Dragon Link engine wanted to do. And then there is the Punk package built into this bad boy where you can climb up, do your Synchro plays, do your Punk plays, you know, Chaos Ruler, Access, all of the crazy good stuff. That build hasn't been quite as popular. And then there's we're going to go down the Adventure package. Now, with the Adventure package, you get access to the token, you get Omni Negate, you get Draco back, you get all that little job security that Dragon Link needs. All right, now, there is one other variant. I believe it's the one that plays like the Rose Dragon package, and it tries to go down more based. I would almost interchange like the Punk package with the Rose Dragon package, and makes it a little bit more consistent in terms of things, which I think is really, really cool. Interesting enough, with those, I guess that makes it 4 variants, right? I think overall, in terms of construction for the deck, the Dragon Link package is a very safe investment right now. With Alba Lenitus kind of taking a step back, Despia falling back now, Super Polys are still very relevant for that, you know, for board breaking. But Dragon Link is now getting its chance to step on in to the light here, which means that players are going to get that chance to see. And as we go into the WCQ here, we will see, or the Yu-Gi-Oh! Championship Series here, we will see how that will really shape up. Because honestly, Dragon Link being predicted to be the best deck for that event, I feel like we say this every point in the format. Like, every time we start to like get to the end of the format here, more and more players are like, yeah, we finally perfected Dragon Link. And it's like, wow, Dragon Link is that deck that takes so long to eventually figure out and get down. It's so crazy. And now that we're at the end of the format here, heading into the biggest caliber event of the year here, now everybody's like, we did it. We figured out Dragon Link. So, I don't know, we'll see if these predictions from the higher tier players are correct, and I'm actually kind of curious to see how that'll go myself. So overall, there's a lot of fine-tuning that is happening here in the format. A lot of raw theory, a lot of predictions, and I guess the last question to answer for this video is, Robbie, what are you going to play for the Yu-Gi-Oh! Championship Series? To answer that question, I wanted to play Rune, but, you know, we don't get what we want here. Which now leaves me with Water Control, or maybe I'm going to become the best Brave Stun player in the world. And before you're like, Brave Stun? What the heck are you talking about? There are things that exist in this format that haven't been made to the world yet. And I think that is one of the more interesting things out here. It really depends on the cool, crazy things that you can see within this world. Just, I know that sounds like a very BS comp excuse, but honestly, those are the two things I'm really looking at right now in terms of my Yu-Gi-Oh! Championship experience. So, I will see your beautiful faces back here later. And then, of course, guys, leave a comment down below. Tell me what you guys think, and you guys stay safe out there, alright? Peace out, guys. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.